6 times he's been to the Super Bowl, winning it twice. But nobody expected Don Shula to rebuild the Dolphins so quickly. Not after struggling to an 8-8 record last year, losing 4 of their last 5 games. Shula knew the rebuilding wouldn't be easy. So he went back to the basics, restoring Miami's running game that now features Sammy Smith. And a pounding defense that has allowed the fewest points in the AFC. And the Dolphins are back in the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. But last Sunday in Buffalo, big problems. The Dolphins got a taste of what playoff football is going to be like. And the Dolphins failed the test. Don Shula now knows that the Miami Super Bowl project still has some rebuilding left.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Indianapolis Colts versus the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome to Joe Robbie Stadium on this final Sunday of the NFL's regular season. And yes, there is a lot riding on this game for the Miami Dolphins. They are already into the playoffs as a wild card team, but they want to be home for that wild card game. So there's the scenario. If they win today and the Raiders win this afternoon, they'll host Kansas City. But if the Raiders lose, they'll host the Raiders. If Miami loses today and the Raiders win this afternoon, they'll still host Kansas City. But if the Raiders went on to lose this afternoon, they would have to go out to the coast and play in the Coliseum against the Raiders next week. That's the scenario. I'm Jim Donovan along with Chris Collinsworth, hoping you're having a nice holiday season. Quite simply, Miami wants to be home for the playoffs. They need a win.
Yeah, we talked to Don Shula, and he was really hoping that Kansas City would win that game yesterday so that he could rest some people, but that was not to be the case. So now the Miami Dolphins must win here this afternoon to ensure home field advantage in that first wild card game next week. But to a man, the one thing that the Miami Dolphins wanted to talk to us about was the fact that they don't think they played their best football last week against the Buffalo Bills, and they want a rematch with those Bills in Rich Stadium sometime this year.
Now let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. They're finishing strong once again. They've won 2 in a row. They'll try and get to 500 today, finish up at 8-8. And Ron Meyer has a lot cleared up in his situation. He'll be back next year as head coach.
Yeah, and Ron Meyer emphasized the fact that even though there are no playoff implications in this game, it's still very important for the Indianapolis Colts. You see, if they win this football game today and make it to 8-8, they will be one of only 4 teams in the National Football League over the course of the last 4 years that will not have a losing season. And that is very important to that man, Ron Meyer.
Meyer off a great victory last week against the Washington Redskins. He said, what a Christmas present. And then, of course, right after that, he was guaranteed that he would come back and probably get a contract extension, too. As for Don Shula, he was hoping so dearly for some help from Chicago yesterday in knocking off the Chiefs, but they didn't get it. They'll have to take care of business themselves and get the win here today. And they'll get the ball first today because Miami has won the toss. Dean Biasucci will kick it away. Back deep for the Miami Dolphins, Mark Logan, who fumbled a kickoff last week in the second half against the Bills, and also back James Pruitt, a wide receiver. So once again, Miami with a win here today, and they'll open up in the playoffs next week in the wild card game right back here at Joe Robbie Stadium. A loss here today, and then they'll have to sit around and wait till later on this afternoon and see. Maybe they'll be back here again next week. Maybe they'll be on the road. The game that they'll be watching this afternoon would be that Raider game against San Diego. Having a little trouble with the ball, getting it up on the tee, so rookie Alan Grant will move in and help out Biasucci. The wind is at 9 miles per hour coming out of the east here today, so it's blowing that ball away. And we're ready. Biasucci gets a big boost from the wind. Logan catches it on the back line of the end zone, and it's a touchback, and Dan Marino will start at his own 20-yard line. Here's the Dolphins offensive set for you. The offensive line, a good young offensive line. Richmond Webb and Keith Sims, the rookies on that left side. Webb's going to the Pro Bowl, so they've done a great job in rebuilding that offensive line. They'd like to get their running game restarted today. They feel that Tony Page back in that backfield will help them out. Then in passing situations, when they go into their 4-wide set, they come in with Jim Jensen, Tony Martin, and James Pruitt. 1st and 10 at the Miami 20-yard line. Smith. Nothing there. He's stopped by the right side of the Indianapolis Colts defense. Dwayne Bickett is in there, along with Tony Siragusa, the nose tackle. Here's the Colts front seven. Siragusa is in there for the injured Harvey Armstrong. And there you see the linebackers, too. Then when the Colts go into their nickel package, Sam Clancy comes in as a pass rusher with Alan Grant and Holloway going into the secondary. And there's the Colts secondary, Good, Daniel, Taylor, and Pryor. Second down at 10. Marino's first pass is caught and dropped. Mark Duper had it at the 41-yard line as he had to pull the ball back towards him, Chris, and he couldn't hang on.
Yeah, take a look at Mark Duper on this play. He is the leading receiver for the Miami Dolphins. Going to run a very simple square-in route here. Danny threw the ball just a little bit behind him, but over the years, this is the type of catch that you expect Mark Duper to make.
Mike Pryor in on the hit of Duper, and Miami's got a bit of a problem here in their first possession now. Third down and 10. Duper leading the team. Of course, remember, Clayton has missed a lot of games with an injury this season. He just came back last week. Shotgun for the first time, and Jensen into the backfield with Marino. Incomplete. Eugene Daniel got a hand on it for the Colts at the 35-yard line as they went back to Duper, and Miami is 3 and out on their first possession.
Eugene Daniel very lucky on that particular play that Mark Duper wasn't going deep. Duper made a miss at the line of scrimmage, and Eugene was able to catch up only because Mark Duper ran that same down and in route over the middle.
So Reggie Roby, with an average of 41.5 yards on the season, stands back at his 6-yard line. He'll punt it to the best really in the NFL, Clarence Verdun. He's back for the Colts. He's going to the Pro Bowl because of his great talent of returning punts. Verdun backed inside his 30. Got an opening to the outside. And Roby pushes him out as he high steps it to the Colts sideline at the 41-yard line. That's why he's going to the Pro Bowl.
Check out Clarence Verdun with his best imitation of Neon Deion Sanders on that play. I guess when you get voted into the Pro Bowl, you're allowed to do a couple of things like this. Absolutely nothing on the right side of the field for Clarence Verdun, so he circles back the other way. And now, yes, sir, get those toes in the air.
A 52-yard punt by Roby, who ends up getting a hand on Verdun, but a 31-yard return by Verdun as he goes to a wide receiver set. And we take a look at Jeff George, rookie quarterback who has been sensational for the Indianapolis Colts at the Miami 41. Throws, and it's caught Bill Brooks up near a first down at the 31-yard line. Let's take a look at the Colt offense as they went 4 wide receivers right off the start here today. The offensive line, Pat Tomberlin is in there for the injured Kevin Call, along with Brian Baldinger on that right side. Call, a real mainstay in that Colts offensive line. George, the rookie. Bentley and Dickerson in the backfield. Into the Rocket offense, which you just saw. Dickerson comes out. Verdun and Stanley Morgan, the 14-year veteran, comes in. It's second down and 1 yard to go for a Colts first down. Now Dickerson into the backfield. First carry. And a first down. To the 26 of Miami. Tackled by Hugh Green. Here's the Miami defense now, which of course has made some drastic improvements. Brian Sauché is in for the injured T.J. Turner for the second week in a row, and Sean Lee starts for Alfred Oglesby in the middle. So they are banged up. In their nickel package, here's what happens. Wilson, E.J. Jr., Kerry, Glenn, and Thomas come in. And there's their secondary. It's first and 10. At the Miami 27-yard line. Dickerson on a draw. Dickerson with a lot of running room. He got drilled by Jarvis Williams, and he's not getting up. Dickerson really got hit right on the chest inside the 15-yard line after he got a first down for the Colts.
You know, and this is embarrassing, I think, to the people of Miami. As soon as Eric Dickerson showed that he was injured on this play, a mock cheer goes up from the crowd. Obviously, Eric Dickerson's a great player, and these fans here want to get him out of the ball game. But I don't care what Eric Dickerson has done over the course of the last year. That's a bunch of bull.
Ron Meyer talking about the situation on the sideline. Now he has to deal with the Dickerson injury. Here it is again.
Nobody runs the draw play better than does Eric Dickerson. He gets a hole And it looked to me originally like he may have slipped a little bit right before contact, but no, that was Hugh Green that fell on the back of his knee. And we can only hope now that Eric Dickerson is okay.
Well, he's up and walking off under his own power. It's his right leg that he's limping on. That's the season Dickerson has had. It's not a Pro Bowl season. Of course, remember, he went through the suspension with the Colts and has come back. And, of course, they've changed now, don't you think, Chris, with Jeff George being a throwing quarterback?
Well, they're more balanced now. They used to be just Eric Dickerson's football team. And I think I should mention that the majority of the fans, after Eric Dickerson did get up, did give him a little round of applause. So the classier fans came to the forefront.
1st and 10, Indianapolis driving at the Miami 12-yard line with Albert Bentley now in the backfield and 4 wide receivers in the game for the Colts. Boy, Miami jumping all over that defensive front. George sacked. And a nice bow at the waist by Sean Lee, who comes up with the sack of the rookie George.
Watch Sean Lee on this play. This is only, he has 1/2 of a sack coming into this game. Jeff George looked right initially for Stanley Morgan. Nothing there, tried to go to the other side of the field, but no, sir. Sean Lee with 1.5 sacks now.
Yeah, in there for the injured Alfred Oglesby. Did you notice Miami on that play before that play? All jumping around on that defensive front. Now they're in trouble, Indianapolis. 2nd down, 22, pushed back to the 24-yard line. And they give it to Bentley. They're finding some nice running room on that play to the 15-yard line. That looked like the same play that Dickerson was injured on.
This is not a real power football team up front. They're a little more finesse-oriented. A lot of screens, a lot of draws. I talked to Albert Bentley, and he said, without a doubt, this is his favorite play. It gives him a chance to read the defense and find the hole. You saw the center, Ray Donaldson, who's been an all-pro player for the past 3 years, did not get voted into the Pro Bowl this year, making the key block on that play.
3rd down, 12 from the 15 of Miami. 4 wide receivers into the game. They're in their rocket offense. Pressured again. And a screen pass to Bentley with a great block by Donaldson. Touchdown, Indianapolis.
This team runs screens and draws probably better than any team in the National Football League. We had a chance to talk to the offensive coordinator yesterday, Larry Kennan, and he said that they got those screens from the days back at when they were all at SMU. Ron Meyer told Larry Kennan to go talk to the Dallas Cowboys because he felt they ran it better than anybody in the National Football League. So what you're seeing now from the Indianapolis Colts is an imitation of the Dallas Cowboys screen. That time it works for a touchdown.
Tim McKyer is the injured Dolphin down on the play. Did you see the block by Donaldson, though?
No, I did not.
How could you miss it? Unbelievable block by 53 Ray Donaldson out there to carve the way for Albert Bentley, the former Miami Hurricane, to come back here and plow into the end zone.
You know, you really have to like Albert Bentley, and there's Ray Donaldson. But here's a guy who has to put up with all this stuff from Eric Dickerson, whether or not he's going to come back, what's going to happen with him. But he keeps his mouth shut, never says a word about his offensive line, and just does the job. And there's a guy right there, Ray Donaldson, who is probably the biggest critic of Eric Dickerson that there is on this football team. We talked to him in week 1, and he said, it doesn't bother me one bit that Eric Dickerson is back. But evidently, they've managed to live and learn in that locker room, and it's not quite as bad as you might think right now.
Of course, didn't Dickerson question the blocking ability of Ray Donaldson?
Well, when we were talking to him yesterday, he said that he really wasn't talking about Ray Donaldson. And not a bad idea to try to cover your tracks a little bit with guys, with a guy that has arms like that.
McKyer is up and walking over to the Miami bench. And Dean Biasucci in to attempt the extra point out of the hold of Ron Stark, the Colts punter. Indianapolis comes in nice and loose and scores on their first possession. And the extra point is good. Jeff George fires to Albert Bentley for a touchdown, and the Colts lead 7-0 here in Miami. Checked out. Here's the play.
It was his own man, Sean Lee, that hit him. And you can't really tell if it's something on the lower part of the body or if he just got his bell rung. As you sit there and look at him, that usually means that he got hit in the head, and they're probably asking him which city he's in and what's his mother's name and a few things like that right now. You can see him trying to shake off the cobwebs.
Now Miami trying to shake off what happened to them on that first Colts possession. A 15-yard touchdown pass from Jeff George to Albert Bentley on a beautifully executed screen by Indianapolis, and they lead 7-0. Miami needing a win to wrap up home field for the wild card game next week. Logan takes it 2 yards deep in the end zone and puts the knee down. And Miami again will start off at their own 20-yard line. Now around the league on the final Sunday, watching Cincinnati as they try and win the AFC Central Division. That's surprising that there's no score against Cleveland. Game must have started late. Because I'll tell you, usually Cleveland's out of the game so far very, very early. And the Giants lead in New England 7-0 in the first quarter. Now
Also, Dallas can wrap up that last wild card in the NFC if they can beat Atlanta today.
And if they don't, then it comes down to a Monday night game tomorrow night. The Saints could get it. Marino, all kinds of time, finds his tight end, Carroll Edmonds. First down. Keith Taylor on the tackle.
That was one thing that Dan Marino talked about yesterday, was the fact that they have to find a way to get the football in the hands of All-Pro Farrell Edmonds. Made the Pro Bowl the past 2 seasons. The guy is just too big, too tough for any small defensive back to try to cover him. Keith Taylor took a shot at it that time and simply could not get the job done.
18 yards and a first down. Page and Smith in the backfield for the Dolphins. They go to Sammy Smith. Out to the 42-yard line. Injury report from the Dolphins sideline. Tim McKyer was knocked out. He's a little groggy. He might return. And an injury report from the Colts sideline is that Eric Dickerson has a mild knee sprain, and he might return also. Second down for Miami after Smith runs it on first down. 2nd and 4. To the 46-yard line. Chased down on the play by Jeff Harrod and John Hand.
Sammy Smith has really helped the Miami Dolphins football team in trying to run the football. Here you can see that he really is the key guy as far as when he gets his hands on the football and has a good day, the Dolphins generally win. The one problem that Sammy Smith has had this year is he's not been able to catch the football. And Dan Marino says that that's one thing that he really misses. Back in the days of 1984-85, when that team went to the Super Bowl, they had Tony Nathan, who was much more versatile. Now they have to bring Sammy Smith out of the game when they want to throw the ball.
On 3rd and 1, he goes up top, and Smith is wide open. So much for the guy that can't catch the football.
Well, I can't have better timing if I tried. As soon as I talk about Sammy Smith and he can't catch a football, he goes about 53 yards with a touchdown. But this is Sammy Smith's first receiving touchdown of his career, so I'm not totally out of my mind, but he sure made that one look easy.
Boy, you yell at the fans for booing Dickerson. They hear you, and they start cheering when he walks off. You say Sammy Smith can't catch the ball, and then he catches his first career touchdown. They're showing you up a little bit here today, huh?
That's really funny.
Stoyanovich to tie the game. It's been a game of big plays so far here early. Bentley for the Colts, Smith for the Dolphins. We're tied.
If you're like a lot of people, you're probably trying to
Coming
cut back.
January 27th.
Welcome back to Joe Robbie Stadium. Jim Donovan and Chris Collinsworth. Pete Stoyanovich to kick it away to the Colts. Albert Bentley 20, Clarence Verdun 83 back deep. Miami goes 80 yards in 4 plays. A 53-yard touchdown pass from Dan Marino to Sammy Smith for the score to tie the game at 7 apiece. 8:45 remaining here in the first quarter.
And throughout the game, I'll try to give you more of my predictions to help with my expert knowledge of the game of football for the common fan out there.
Yeah, I hope you don't make any predictions about how 1991 is going to be. This is Verdun, and the 7-yard line. He's still going. Looks like that money that goes across on those commercials. He's out to the 25-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown play.
Take a look at this touchdown. Watch the left guard, Keith Sims. He's going to block down on the nose tackle, and Jeff Arad, number 54, is going to be fooled with the play fake. He had Sammy Smith on this play. Watch him trying to get back here, but it's way too late. Sammy Smith is off and running, and Dan Marino with the perfectly thrown pass.
That tied the game up at 7 apiece. Now the crowd stirring up here at Joe Robbie Stadium, trying to wish the Dolphins for a wild card game next week. The wind does that here today. Tim McKier's back in at quarterback. Bill Brooks has to go upstairs to make the catch. It won't be much of a gain out over the 25-yard line, but he made a nice grab. And McKier covers on Brooks.
They're using a form of the run and shoot right now. The Indianapolis Colts are. Billy Brooks in the slot position there. He's really the outlet on that play, just somebody that Jeff George can dump the football off to. The run and shoot, when it's working effectively, can really scare a defense.
Eric Dickerson is back in there too. Dickerson had a mild sprain of his knee on the Colts' first possession, and he left, but is back in at the 27-yard line now. It is second down.
I had really a very interesting day with Eric Dickerson yesterday. I asked him about all the controversy he stirred up this offseason by being so critical of his offensive line, which helped him gain 1,131 yards last year. I'll get back to that in just a minute.
Second down, 8. Tie game at 7 apiece. First quarter here at Joe Robbie Stadium. Dickerson gets it. He gets to the 30-yard line. Brian Soche and Hugh Green are in on the tackle of Dickerson.
As soon as I asked him about all the controversy, he looked at me and said, yeah, I remember you calling me a cancer on this football team earlier this year. And I remember thinking, when was the last time I got my butt kicked anyway? Because he was looking at me like he was going to do something. But he was very calm and just said, you were one of those wide receivers who couldn't understand what it was like to get hit in the face at the line of scrimmage every time you get the ball. I understand what he's saying, but I still think it's wrong the way he treated those guys up front.
3rd and 4 as Miami was pressing to get their defensive changes in, but they got them in. Now they jump off. Sean Lee, the nose tackle, appears to have come across, and that will cost them 5 yards and a first down.
Sean Lee was looking for sack number 2.5 on that particular play. He was ready to go out there. Anytime you get a sack early in the game, sometimes you think you're going to have an all-pro day.
98 defense, first down.
And the first penalty of the day, 5 yards, brings them up to the 36-yard line.
Sometimes when a guy jumps off sides, especially the nose tackle, you can watch the center and he'll flinch or do something or squeeze the ball and make him jump. But that time, Sean Lee just jumped.
So it's a first down for the Colts at their own 36-yard line. Gets it out there, and Bentley breaks a tackle and gets a Colt first down to the 47-yard line. Albert Bentley, who already has a touchdown here today, caught that one, broke a tackle, and then got about 9 extra yards.
I'm really a fan of Albert Bentley's. This is the 4th time I've seen the Indianapolis Colts play this year, and every single time he makes plays exactly like this. Catches the football, gets hit, fights his way upfield, and picks up a first down. That young man is a first-class football player.
J.B. Brown missed the tackle on the play, couldn't bring him down, and the Colts are driving again now with a first down at their own 47-yard line. Bentley down the line in motion. Dickerson. Good play by Miami. Cliff Odom, the former Colt of 8 years, was the first man to make the tackle, helped out by the Pro Bowler John Offerdahl.
The Dolphins know that the draw is a big part of their offense. They talked about it all day yesterday. Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator, knew about it as well. And one of the adjustments they were going to make today was overshift the line. They felt like that put their defense on a 4-on-3 situation with the interior of that line and might help out against that draw.
2nd and 10 after a no gainer on first down. George steps up, fires, and it's intercepted on a deflection. Jarvis Williams. The 4th interception of the season for Jarvis Williams. Here it is.
Absolutely the worst thing that you can do as a wide receiver. Let the ball go through your hands. That's the old tip drill right there. Jarvis Williams, who Don Shula says is his best safety man, makes another big play.
It's Miami ball after the turnover when we come back. It's for Miami. His 4th of the year, and he gives the Dolphins the ball at their own 41-yard line. First down in a tie game at 7 apiece. 5:20 to go, first quarter. Tony Page hit right away after he caught the ball, but he's out to the 46-yard line. Scott Radisek was in on the tackle with Banks and Harrod. Now around the league on this final Sunday, still nothing from Cincinnati. Chip Lohmiller with the field goal for Washington to give them the lead over Buffalo 3-0. Of course, everything's been decided in that whole scenario for both of those teams. Buffalo knows what they're doing. Washington will be at Philadelphia in the wild card game. The Giants now lead 10-0 at New England as Matt Barr has added a field goal. And here in Miami, Dan Marino has fired a 53-yard touchdown pass to Sammy Smith to tie this game up against the Colts at 7-7. And what a play by Big John Hand. Sammy Smith is torn to the ground by John Hand.
Take a look at John Hand here on this play. John was the #1 draft pick out of Alabama in 1986, the 4th pick overall. And you can see why. When he gets his hands on somebody, he rips him to the ground. 6'7", 301 pounds. A big man.
3rd down now. 6 yards to go. Jim Jensen joins Marino in that backfield in their 4-wide set as Clayton went in motion. Wide open. Duper. First down, Miami. They're at the Indianapolis 41-yard line.
Dan Marino had 2 guys wide open on that play. Mark Clayton was running across the middle of the field waving his hands, and Mark Duper with a very simple comeback route down at the bottom of your screen right here turns Eugene Daniel around. Very easy. Anytime you've got the speed of a Mark Duper, those defensive backs have to give you plenty of room.
And Duper makes the catch and gets Miami the first down. At Colt territory now at the 41-yard line. Page in motion. Marino dumps it to Page. Wayne Bickett brings him down at the 32-yard line. They'll be short of a first down by a yard, so they get 9.
You're looking at the Dolphins' most versatile back. He can block, he can run, he can catch, and the players lovingly call him the total package. They think that he is one of the real keys if this team is going to make it on to the Super Bowl this year, and it's great for them to have Tony Page back.
Remember, he was injured. He came back and helped out a little bit last week, although they needed a lot of help up in Buffalo. But he'll really help this guy, Sammy Smith. First down, Miami. And the total package was a big part of that whole deal right there because he cleared the way for Smith.
Take a look at Sammy Smith here on the replay. Just very simple, straight-ahead blocking, and that has been bothering the Indianapolis Colts all season long. You know, last week against the Redskins, they were outgained 467 yards to 249 in that game, outrushed 223 to 33. So this football team is just trying to keep things close for the 4th quarter.
Now Miami driving to take the lead. First down. Smith again. Another Miami first down as he takes it down to the 13-yard line. And really, as Smith runs, so goes his team, and he's running well today.
Yeah, we showed you the graphic earlier that when Sammy Smith has big days, generally the Miami Dolphins win. The only thing that you're a little concerned about if you're a Miami Dolphin fan is that you can fall in love with the running game a little bit. Obviously, Dan Marino is the main component on this offense, and next week against either the Chiefs or the Raiders, you don't think they're going to have the same kind of success, and you've got to figure that they're going to come out and try the same thing again next week.
Now they have Mark Logan in the backfield as Smith and Page come out of there, and they're into the shotgun on first down. Terrell Edmonds is drilled by Keith Taylor as he gets the ball. Makes the catch at the 11 and gets planted right at the 11 too.
I'm not so sure that Danny Marino read that defense exactly right. You see Terrell Edmonds smiling, but he can smile because he's about 250 pounds. As a wide receiver used to come walking back to the huddle and give the wide receiver or the quarterback some hairy eyebrows out there if he hung you up like that. I think that Danny Marino misread that coverage just a little bit.
It's second down. This is the 8th play of the drive now for Miami. We're inside the last minute of the first quarter in a tie game at 7 apiece. Miami needing a win to wrap up home field for the wild card game. That's Mark Logan. Inside the 5, he'll be close to another Dolphin first down. Cornell Holloway comes up on the stop with Chris Good. It's first and goal, Dolphins.
Mark Logan, in his 4th year out of the University of Kentucky, had a big fumble last weekend against the Bills on a kickoff return, and he was fired up for this ball game. A former teammate of mine, one of the finest young men I've ever met in this game.
Boy, he has done well since coming here to the Dolphins, hasn't he?
He really has. He's made a big difference on special teams, and even when they give him the football, he's proven that he can run it.
That's the end of the first quarter. Miami has it first and goal when we come back to start the second in a tie game. Start the second quarter, Don Shula in a tie game, 7-7 with the Colts. A game that if his team wins here this afternoon on this final Sunday of the regular season, they wrap up home field advantage next week in the wild card game. And as we start the second quarter, he's got a nice situation, first and goal at the Indianapolis 3. And we won't start the second quarter right now because Marino came up to the line of scrimmage and calls a timeout.
You take a look at Don Shula, or Dan Marino right there, and that's a young man that has an incredible standard working for him right now. He has now thrown 20 or more touchdown passes in each of his 8 years in the league, which ties him with Hall of Famer Johnny Unitas in that category. But Dan is the only quarterback to ever accomplish that feat in his first 8 years in the league.
Now, what he was arguing about is that the play clock was down to 5 seconds when he brought them up to the line of scrimmage. So obviously he knew that he wasn't going to get that. It's been reset now, but he knew that he wasn't going to get that play down and running in time. So rather than take the 5 yards, he had to burn a timeout.
But that's the advantage of having a veteran quarterback on your team. Even though when you come back from a timeout, you should have plenty of time to get the play off. Still, Dan Marino took the time to look up, check the clock, and saw the 5 seconds, because it really would have been a disaster for this team to have to go back 1st and 8 when they're 1st and 3 right now.
So they lose a timeout, but they don't lose any yardage. And they come out 1st and goal at the Indianapolis 3. Incomplete. Clayton couldn't hang on as Marino tried to squeeze that one in there for his 2nd touchdown pass of the day.
Even though Mark Clayton couldn't make the play right there, as you'll see him working one-on-one with number 37, Chris Good. Looked like Chris got his hand in there and maybe tipped that pass away. Dan Marino was very excited to have Mark Clayton back in the lineup. Last week against the Buffalo Bills, what a day he had. 8 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown. And Dan Marino thinks that this man can get open against anybody.
Not only that, but then he can run so well after he catches the ball. He wouldn't have to run far here if he catches the ball because they're right at the 3. 2nd goal. They run it. Smith short of the end zone. It'll be 3rd and goal. John Hand is on the bottom of the pile again for the Colts, along with the nose tackle, Tony Siragusa, the rookie out of Pitt. Now it's 3rd and goal. What do you do? Now you're about 6 inches from the goal line.
Well, I think the way that this game is falling out right now, I think you got to give right back to Sammy Smith. Coming into this ball game, I had heard a lot of people talk about the fact that maybe Sammy Smith isn't so tough a runner. He's a fast guy with some good moves, but not so tough. But everything I've seen here this afternoon looks like he's plenty tough to me.
Extra tight end in. Beatty is in at the bottom of the screen. 3rd and goal. Touchdown, Smith. he has scored 1 through the air and 1 on the ground.
Sammy Smith may be having his best day as a pro so far out here this afternoon. We saw him in the locker room, and you and I were both surprised at just how big this guy is. Big arms, a big torso for a running back to have that kind of moves. He's not a smaller scat back type of running back. He's got plenty of power if he'll use it.
Stoyanovich for the extra point and Miami's first lead of the day. It's 14-7 Miami. And they turn that Jeff George interception into a touchdown. We'll be right back to Miami.
It's interesting to find out whether or not the Rocket's going to come back for his final season at Notre Dame. A lot of controversy surrounding that now.
Now at halftime, when we switch back to NFL Live, Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh talk with Rocket Ismail about that very fact. Whether the Rocket will be playing his final game at Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl coming up here on NBC.
Jimmy, don't forget that the draft, as we know it now, expires in 1992. So we may well see a lot of juniors coming out for the draft this year. They're also worried about the rookie pay scale.
It's 14-7 in a game the Dolphins must have to wrap up home field advantage in the wild card playoff game next week. Lead over Indianapolis after spotting the Colts a 7-0 lead in this game. Here's Clarence Verdun. Paul Langford drives him out of bounds. Let's go to New York right now, NFL Live, and here's Bob Costas.
All right, Jim, after intercepting Boomer Esiason, the Browns drove down to the Cincinnati 1. They go for it on 4th down, but Derek Gainer is stopped. And so there's still no score. They're in the second quarter at Riverfront. Esiason just fumbled moments ago. Cleveland has the ball again in Cincinnati territory.
Well, that would be the upset of the year in the NFL if Cleveland, as pathetic as they have been this season, would go down to Cincinnati and win there.
Don't even want to think about it. Don't want to jinx them yet. Not going to say a word.
I mean, you would go back to a very unhappy Cincinnati City tonight. The ball is short of the 20-yard line as Miami covered Verdun very well on that kick. Screen pass, Bentley with Donaldson out in front again. And Bentley having a good day himself, already with a touchdown today. Carries it over the 25 to the 27-yard line where J.B. Brown and Hugh Green are in on the tackle.
You know, there aren't many centers that can pull out and do the things that Ray Donaldson can do on these screens. Probably the reason that the Colts can do this so effectively. You'll see Ray Donaldson out in front, and that's a defensive back, or Hugh Green in this case, that he's blocking on. It takes a lot of athletic ability on the part of those offensive linemen to try to even hit a man while they're running that fast down the field.
That's what Bentley can do so well, catch the football. As a matter of fact, he leads the team in receptions. 2nd and 1. Dickerson pops it outside. And he gets the first down. A pretty good play right there. As grabbing him there is Louis Oliver to keep him away from going into the Miami bench.
Well, Eric Dickerson does make it look easy out there. It looks like he's not even trying out there.
A stroll on that play.
Exactly.
Looked like he was strolling through the park.
Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, said that he thought that Eric Dickerson was the greatest back to ever play in the National Football League. That was quite a compliment.
First down, Indianapolis. Over their own 35-yard line. Jesse Hester in motion. George with a lot of time. That's Hester, and he's got some open field. And a lot of speed. Oh, what a cutback. Touchdown, Colts. A candidate for comeback player of the year in the NFL this year, Jesse Hester.
What a turnaround for that young man. He was originally drafted by the Raiders in the first round in 1985. He was waived by Atlanta in 1989, and this year for the Colts, he has been nothing short of outstanding. He told us a very interesting story yesterday, Jimmy, in the fact that he was losing all his confidence when he got cut by the Atlanta Falcons and really thought his days in football may well be over. His brother Roger put together a highlight tape of all his great plays, not only in college but in the pros as well. That helped him with his confidence, and now he's having a great year this year.
And his brother Roger is in the seats today, and he just saw him make a 63-yard catch and run for a touchdown, and this game is tied. It is a shootout here in Miami. 14-14. We'll be back.
Look at Jesse Hester, who just burned the Miami Dolphins defense for a 63-yard touchdown pass. We told you that his brother Roger, who put that highlight tape together, was in the stands today, and there he is. Has to be awfully proud. Doesn't look too excited about it, but has to be awfully proud of what Jesse has done this year, and in large part due to his help.
Short kick now inside the 10. Mark Logan with it. Stays up. And then goes down at the 25. The kicker, Dean Biasucci, is in there. Now around the league on our 10-minute ticker. 2 Chip Low-Miller field goals, and Washington leads 6-0. Bob Costas told you about the problem Cincinnati's having holding on to the football, although the Browns have not cashed in yet, and New England is on the board. It's 10-7. The interesting story about that game is that it's a sellout for the first time this season up in New England at Sullivan Stadium, but it's mostly Giant fans, right?
I don't think they care up there, though. They're just happy to see some people in the stands.
The Patriots advertised in the Giants game day program about come on up and see your team.
More power to you, Victor Cayam.
They filled the seats today. Now Miami in a dogfight here this afternoon, and Sammy Smith steps out over the 30-yard line. Sam Clancy gets him down by the feet, but Smith is having a great day. 2 touchdowns already today, 1 receiving and 1 from a half-yard out.
And he's doing it behind the rookie line over there on the left side. All-pro now, Richmond Webb, who Don Shula compares to Anthony Munoz, which is a pretty incredible comparison this early in his career. And also Keith Sims. You see there the graphic, when the Dolphins run the football well, they win a lot of football games.
They're running it well today, but they're being big played by the Colts. Smith. Jeff Harrod, the leading tackler for the Colts, makes the stop at the 31-yard line. And Jeff Harrod, who has just been tremendous, he held out at the start of the season, was in a contract dispute, then came back and was injured and was nicked up. So he missed some time, missing the opening game up in Buffalo, and yet he still leads the Colts in tackles.
And we talked about some of the players that still have problems with Eric Dickerson. Well, Jeff Harrod is one of his best friends. We talked to both of them together, and they tore each other up pretty good last night in our meeting.
Harrod was wearing beautiful new shoes, new sneakers, and Dickerson said, I'm getting ready to take Jeff down to his aerobics class. 3rd down 2, shotgun for Marino. Just got the play off. Wide open across the middle. It's James Pruitt. And he's out to the Miami 48-yard line and a first down.
Here you're going to take a look at James Pruitt. The middle of the field has been absolutely wide open for the Miami Dolphins today. They continue to work inside. They're playing a basic zone defense, the Indianapolis Colts are, and the big holes, if you've got time to throw the football, is in that 20-yard range down the middle of the field against the zone defense that the Colts are playing right now, and Dan Marino is exploiting it fully right now.
Out near midfield on first down. Marino throws, and Sammy Smith had broken his pattern off and started upfield, and Marino will no doubt have a bit of a discussion with him. Marino used to fire back at receivers, didn't he, when they would drop a pass or blow a route, and he would really fire back at them. And you always thought that the receivers would be a little bit steamed because he would kind of show them up a little bit. But they understand that he's such a competitor,
right,
that he really wants things done right.
But you saw part of the problems that Sammy Smith is having with the passing game. It's not just that he's not catching the football, but he's not on the same page with Dan Marino as far as the routes are concerned.
So Marino and George, as you see, are off to big passing days, and we have 10 minutes to go here in the first half. We had Tony Siragusa leading, but no flag thrown. And the catch by Tony Page at the Indianapolis 46-yard line, well short of the first down. They'll come up 3rd down and 5.
It's just such a joy to watch that man right there work. You know, most people don't realize this, but he lasted almost the entire way through the draft. I believe it was in 1983. So many teams had a shot at this guy in the first round. The Cincinnati Bengals had a shot at him. We've drafted Dave Remington, a center out of Nebraska, instead. A lot of people kicking themselves right now for not picking up Danny Marino.
You included. You'd probably be in the Hall of Fame, don't you think?
I had some pretty good quarterbacks. I'm not going to say anything about that.
3rd down 5. blitz by the Colts, but Marino unloads it for nobody. Throwing it away at the 10-yard line as he gets dusted down there by Jeff Harrod. He was blitzing on the play.
This is really a busted pattern down here at the bottom of the screen. It looked like they were trying to run some kind of a hitch and go or a delay and go pattern, out and up, something like that. And Dan Marino just had to get rid of the football a little before he wanted to.
Reggie Roby. Second punt. First one 52 yards. But remember, Verdun took it back 31 yards on the return. Verdun is not back right now. Pryor is back for the Colts. What hang time, and look at the Dolphins cover it beautifully. Kerry Glenn knocked the ball back. Then he went into the end zone, but the ball went backwards to the 3-yard line. A great special teams play. We'll be back. The Colts are backed up when we return. Stadium, 8:57 to go in our first half. Jeff George and the Colts are backed up after a super play by Kerry Glenn to keep the ball from going into the end zone.
Take a look at the numbers there. You can see that when Jeff George plays well, the Colts win. It's as simple as that.
Starting at his own 3. He's going to throw. He's going to get hit by Jeff Cross, and a flag goes down. I think they might call grounding in the end zone.
That will be a safety.
Yes, safety.
Anytime you intentionally ground the football in the end zone, it is a safety. Take a look at Jeff George right here. They had an out and up going to Jesse Hester on the sideline. Jeff Cross right there. Jeff George did the best he could.
For safety.
Did the best he could, and you can see Jeff George talking with Tom Dooley right there, trying to plead his case. But this is a clear-cut call right here for Tom Dooley. Jeff George just trying to get rid of the football. Jeff Cross would have ended up with his sack.
But don't you think that's a tricky pass play to throw from when you're going to be curling into your own end zone? Don't you need something really short and fast?
It's a mistake by Jeff George, and there's really no other way to say that. Either the play is there and you throw it to Jesse Hester, or you throw it out of bounds. They didn't have another receiver on that side of the field to throw to, so it was his only option to throw it down the field to Jesse Hester or get the ball out of bounds. You're not going to be able to see Jesse Hester. He's on the left side of your screen here, running an out and up, and that was it. They had a tight end crossing, but Jeff George never had the chance to look back towards him. He should have taken the ball when it wasn't there and thrown it out of bounds.
16-14 Miami as George gives up the 2 points on the intentional grounding in the end zone. And of course, remember, he's thrown an interception that Miami subsequently turned around for a touchdown. And so the Dolphins lead by 2, and they'll get the ball back with 8:50 to go here in the first half, as Indianapolis will free kick it from their 20-yard line. Ron Stark, the Pro Bowl punter for the AFC, will now have the job of trying to punt this away and pinning Miami back.
You know, a rule that most people don't realize about this free kick is you can onside kick it from a punting position. The Miami Dolphins did it one year and beat the Cincinnati Bengals on a play just like that.
Not a great punt by Stark. They call for the fair catch at the 45-yard line. Tony Martin gives Miami good field position. Not a Pro Bowl punt by the Pro Bowl punter.
No, it was not. But let's go back to the play that really set up those 2 points for the Miami Dolphins, the play that Kerry Glenn made on the Roby punt. That was what set up that entire scenario. A great play by Kerry Glenn.
See, when the Colts ran that play, I mean, I got to think it's one thing to be free and loose, but it's another thing to be suicidal. But to be rolling your rookie quarterback back there in that end zone like that, that's suicidal.
Well, the play had a chance. They had a chance to hit Jesse Hester up the field for a 97-yard touchdown, but it just didn't happen for him on that time.
First and 10. And Sammy Smith, good yardage to the Indianapolis 49.
I'm going to go back and have a little talk with some of the people that told me that Sammy Smith wasn't a very tough running back. Everything that I've seen out of this guy has been terrific today. He's caught the football, has a touchdown pass, and so far on the afternoon has 46 yards rushing on 11 carries. Maybe his best day, and 2 touchdowns already.
99 yards all-purpose and 2 scores. The Dolphins are making a change on their offensive line now at left guard, or at the right guard rather. Gary Galbraith just came out, and Roy Foster comes in. 8 minutes to go, first half. 16-14 Miami. Second down, and Sammy Smith carries to the 46-yard line. But it looks like he'll be about a half-yard shy of the first down. On our 10-minute ticker, Cincinnati, even with the case of the fumbles today, leads 7-0. Now set the scenario up for them. If they win today, and Pittsburgh loses tonight against Houston, Cincinnati wins the AFC Central. You got it after that.
They still have a shot at the wild card if either Seattle or Houston loses tonight. So they're still very much in the playoff hunt.
There's an eyebrow raiser. The Giants and Patriots tied at 10. Third down, inches. Sammy Smith brings it down to the 40-yard line. Jeff Harrod tackles.
Sammy Smith has been simply outstanding, and a big reason why is the play of his offensive line and those 2 rookies over there on the left side. You take a look at All-Pro Richmond Webb and Keith Sims. These guys have really matured. At the beginning of the season, Danny Marino said, I was a little worried about my blind side over there. But these guys have become outstanding football players. As a matter of fact, Richmond Webb, as we told you earlier, going to the Pro Bowl now.
The only rookie offensive tackle to ever do that. Nice play fake by Marino. Cooper. First down to the 18-yard line of Indianapolis.
You know, many people thought that Mark Duper was washed up after back-to-back seasons of only 1 touchdown pass in 1988 and 89, but 5 touchdowns already this year, and he was really the key guy when Mark Clayton went down with that knee injury. He picked up the slack and kept this Miami Dolphin offense moving.
23 yards on that catch by Duper. And a first down inside the 20. This has a chance to be like a 9-point swing in this game because of that safety. Sammy Smith pushing on Roy Foster to get him some extra yards as he goes inside the 15. He had his blocker, 61, Foster, by the back of the jersey, kept pushing him.
Foster did an outstanding job of staying with his block on that play. It's one of the toughest things in the world for an offensive lineman to maintain his block. And generally, I don't know if Foster was doing it on this particular play. Watch number 61. He's going to stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. And he and Sammy Smith push it on down to about the 12-yard line.
Second down now for the Dolphins. 5:08 to go first half. They lead by 2. Roll out. Tony Page. First and goal Dolphins inside the Indianapolis 5.
You think Danny Marino likes having Tony Page back in the lineup? We talked to Dan yesterday, and he said that they want to do more rollout passing to take advantage of his great foot speed out there. He kind of did it with a smile, but you see it really makes this offense a little more versatile when he can hit Tony Page on a play like that.
He was rolling out, and he got rid of it when he saw Chip Banks coming at him.
Not a bad plan. First and goal.
Marino, big day so far. Now can he get the Dolphins in again as he's inside the Indianapolis 5? Right back to Sammy Smith. Just short.
What a great run by Sammy Smith. He goes in, really nothing there initially, does a little spin move, gets it on down to the 1 or 2 inch line. And this Miami Dolphins offensive line absolutely overpowering the Colts. You saw Scott Radisek in there stuffing the play initially, but Sammy Smith found a way to make it happen.
They're at the 1-yard line, and it's second down and goal. He's already carried that ball 15 times, and maybe he'll get it again. Clayton cannot come up with it. as Pryor was on the coverage for the Colts.
I don't know if you had a chance to see Danny Marino right before the snap of the ball right there, but he gave a little hand signal to Mark Clayton. Probably meant either go straight up the field, a little fade route, or break inside on the slant, and the hand signal was what determined that. Take a look at Dan Marino right there. See that movement right there? That means the fade. It probably, if he had taken his hand the other way, it would have been a slant, something like that. But the defensive back can't see that out there because he's got his back turned in man-to-man coverage.
Well, they scored on 3rd and goal the last time, and that's where they are right now. Smith. Great stop by the Colts defense to stack him up. I think he lost a little bit on the play. And the crowd right away becomes offensive coordinators, and they're yelling, go, go.
I think Don Shula will go for it here. You saw him wave his hands right there. Why not? Even if you miss it here, you've got him backed up in the end zone. You've been running the football all day. You've got a chance to blow this football game open.
There's Bill Muir, the defensive coordinator of the Colts. And as the Dolphins come up to the line of scrimmage, the official halts the play. I think they're taking a look at the play clock once again. Remember, that ran down on the Dolphins the last time they were down here.
Down to 10 seconds, and Dan Marino does not want to mess up this opportunity.
Please reset the play clock to 14 seconds.
Gee, they kind of took the wind out of everybody's sails. I think they're taking a look at that last play on the run by Smith to see if he got in.
Gets over the top. Jeff Harrod dives up to meet Sammy Smith. He did not get in. It's a good call by the officials.
Harrod was there, and there you see Dwayne Bickett helping out over the top.
Here we go, a little excitement.
4th and goal rather, inside the 1. Smith, no signal.
He didn't make it.
And they're saying the Indianapolis Colts stuffed him on the play. What a defensive stand by Bickett and Harrod and those linebackers. Then that guy, the rookie Siragusa.
Can I tell you something? This Indianapolis Colts defense is not that talented. They simply are not that talented. But all season long, they've been playing exactly like this. And I tell you what.
I think he was in.
Woo! That one is awfully close.
Bill Muir.
They won't be able to overrule it, though, from that angle, because you couldn't really see where the football was.
So maybe they are going to take a look at it right now, and we'll see what the verdict is when we come back.
Coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Oldsmobile. Stop by your Oldsmobile dealer and see what's new from the new generation of Olds. By the Upjohn Company. If you're concerned about hair loss, see your doctor. By Northwest Airlines. Northwest's World Perks free travel program lets you fly free fast. And by Miller Lite, with a reminder to please think when you drink this holiday season.
All right, the Indianapolis Colts run their first play. They were trying to run the play since we left you. The crowd here is just vehemently upset about the Dolphins not getting that touchdown. They feel that Sammy Smith was in.
They're all looking up at us like we can do something, waving their arms and wanting us to change it to a touchdown. But it did look like Sammy Smith got over the top of the pile. The problem the replay official had on that play is from the angle that we had down on the end zone, you couldn't tell where the ball is. And even though it looked like his torso crossed the plane, the replay official cannot find the football here. Take a look at it. You're going to see Sammy Smith. It appears his torso crosses the plane of the goal line there. But from that angle, you cannot tell where the football is, and because of that, they cannot overrule it upstairs.
Well, Don Shula went for it on 4th down. I'm sure he believes that Smith got in and that he should have had points, but the reality is no touchdown and no points on that drive down to the Indianapolis goal line, but they can't push it across. And Ron Meyer's team down 16-14.
I think they got a break. I really do. I think the Colts got a break.
But his defense played a tremendous job of digging in. Now, we've just heard from the replay booth, and that's exactly what they called. Is that how you explain it? They couldn't tell where the ball was, and if he indeed had it over the plane of the goal line.
Has to be conclusive.
Bill Muir, defensive coordinator of the Colts. They were first in goal at the 3, Miami was, and his defense held them.
He's a happy man. And you know, the assistant coaches, even though Ron Meyer got a contract extension on his contract, still a lot of controversy as to whether or not they're going to force Jim Irsay is going to force Ron Meyer to make some changes within his staff. May still happen. So this game is very important for the Colts assistants.
So it is now second down as Indianapolis had called the timeout to straighten themselves out. And the ball is out over the 1-yard line at the 2. It's Gary Stevens, the quarterback coach, talking with Don Shula.
And he was in. I know he was in. I saw it.
Second down. Albert Bentley. Tough sledding out to the 3-yard line, and Sean Lee is in on the tackle. All right, so we'll be back to Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami in a moment. First half, Miami leading thanks to a safety on an intentional grounding call on Colts rookie quarterback Jeff George in the end zone. Miami has used all their timeouts now as they are pinning Indianapolis in and trying to get the ball back in good field position. Third down and 8.
Right now, big play for them. They need a first down so they can get out of this first half. Just down 16-14.
George has his man. Hester dropped it. There's a flag down, though, at the 7-yard line. Hester was draped on the play by Tim McKyer. And it's going against Miami. Let's pick up the call from Tom Dooley.
Holding, 35 defense, first down.
Kerry Glenn commits a huge penalty and lets the Colts out of the bag right here.
Jeff George, very patient for a rookie quarterback who has already had a safety already today. Throws it out there, a risky pass. Kerry Glenn, who came up with the big play to set up the safety originally on the special teams, now makes a costly mistake and gives the Colts a first down.
2:17 left to go in the first half. Now they get the first down out over the 5-yard line. Dickerson, not much. In fact, probably nothing. Offerdahl and Jeff Cross and Sean Lee team up for the tackle as we come to the 2-minute warning here in the first half. We'll be back to Joe Robbie. All the bowl games, and then, of course, capped off on Tuesday night with the Federal Express Orange Bowl, the game for the national title. Colorado's Buffaloes at #1 right now against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Notre Dame denied them the national title last year. Lots of things swirling around that game. You'll hear at halftime a talk with the Rocket, Raghib Ismail. Is this going to be his last game for Notre Dame? And then, of course, there's always the Lou Holtz story. Is it going to be his last game at Notre Dame also?
And the controversy surrounding Colorado being #1 at all with that fifth down in the Missouri game.
Right now, it's second down 11. 2 minutes to go, first half. Colts down by 2, 16-14, backed up at their own 7. Dickerson's got plenty of running room. Boy, that ball almost popped out. He's up near a first down at the 18-yard line. He hasn't fumbled since way back last year. He fumbled against the Cleveland Browns, and that's the last time he's fumbled. He's really been a guy that's been known as a fumbler, but not since way back in last year has he coughed the ball up.
As you see, the Miami Dolphins defensive line overshift there. Tom Olivadotti did that specifically to try to stop the draw play. And here it goes right into the teeth of the overshift, and they still pick up about 10 yards.
Former teammate of Dickerson, Cliff Odom, now a Dolphin defender, trying to rip that ball loose away from Eric Dickerson. Dickerson sprained his knee early in the game, but he has come back as you see him kind of moving around trying to keep it loose. First down, Indianapolis. Now they can truly run the half out if that's what they want to do, or they can go for a little bit more.
Yeah, they may be a little bit aggressive here. You know, we were talking to Eric Dickerson, and we keep bringing this up, and it really was a very interesting conversation. I asked him what the players' reaction was when he came back this year, and he said it was no problem. In fact, he said he thought that they were happy to have him back so the players could make fun of his clothes again. You see, Eric Dickerson loves clothes, especially shoes. He has over 200 pairs in his arsenal.
First and 10. Miami's out of timeouts here in the first half. They've got a screen set up, but boy, Miami had a lot of people in front of it. That has worked all afternoon for Albert Bentley, but not that time, as Cliff Odom and Hugh Green were both over there.
I like the call, though. It was a fairly conservative call, but that gives them a chance, if they can hit a screen pass, to move the football down the field and maybe get a little drive going. They have all their timeouts remaining, so they do have a chance to put a drive together if they can make something happen. Expect, once again, I would imagine, a screen or a draw on this play.
Second and 10 with a minute 21 remaining in the first half. 4 wide receivers in the game right now for Indy. Dickerson with that beautiful slice back over the 20 to the 23-yard line, finally put down by Lewis Oliver. Now our NFL Live headlines from earlier today. Joe Gibbs, Will McDonough says, apparently has agreed to a new contract with the Redskins. Well, Marty Schottenheimer, at least right now, he would be correct on that assumption with Miami leading here 16-14. And Mike Ditka with all of those quarterback problems. Mike Tomczak was terrible yesterday, wasn't he? And that's all coming up at halftime. Will, OJ, and Bob with scores and highlights, and of course the interview with the Rocket. Third down now for Indianapolis. 3rd and 5. Dickerson stopped. Odom in on the tackle again with Brian Saucier. Clock running down. 20 seconds remaining here in the first half. And that's going to do it for the first half. Miami can't stop the clock. They're out of timeouts.
A very nice job by Jeff George and Ron Meyer on that series, picking up the first down and being able to run out the first half, because the last thing in the world you want to do is give Dan Marino back the football and give him a chance to pad this lead.
Ron Meyer trying to get to 500 on this season and end with 3 wins in a row. He talks with us that his team was backed up after they made a defensive stand against the Dolphins and started at their own 1.5-yard line, and Miami tried to put the pressure on him and get the ball back, but George worked his way out of it, used the clock very nicely, and got his team to the locker room with no more damage done, only down by 2 points. 16-14. If Miami can hang on to the lead here in the second half, they'll be back here next week, either playing Kansas City or the Raiders in the AFC wildcard game. Stojanovic will start us off here in the second half. Burdan goes back into his end zone, 3 yards deep, and he thought about coming out, but then puts a knee down, touchback, and Indy will get the ball at their own 20-yard line, 1st and 10. So the first half numbers go like this. Time of possession really jumps out at you. The Dolphins had the ball 8 more minutes in that first half.
You know, but that's not really surprising. Last week they beat the Washington Redskins, and they had time of possession 39 minutes for the Redskins to 20 for the Colts. So this has really been the way that their season has gone.
As a matter of fact, Ron Meyer told us last night, remember, statistically, we're terrible.
Yeah. He said their plan last week against Washington was to wear them out, make them hyperventilate a little bit, maybe get them in the 4th quarter.
And they did. Now, first possession, second half. Nice stretch out catch by Bill Brooks, and then he is collared down on the play by Jarvis Williams. Gets 8 on the first down play to the 28-yard line, and it will be 2nd and 2.
You know, this is the difference in the Colts passing game right now. Jeff George is beginning to develop some timing with his wide receivers. There you see him hit Billy Brooks on a perfectly timed throw. It's very easy throw to make if you can get that timing down, and that's what the Colts were missing at the beginning of the season, and that's why many people think that Ron Meyer may well be able to turn this football team around next year.
On 2nd and 2, Dickerson sweeping, and he'll get the first down, I believe, out over the 30-yard line to the 31. Chasing him down, Cliff Odom and David Griggs, an inside linebacker that we haven't called yet today, but Griggs has had a pretty good year.
Here you're going to see it again. You've got the draw play off of the sprint out action. That's what they're using as a complementary play to the run and shoot, where Jeff George will roll a half roll to one side or another. And again, Eric Dickerson, as he usually does, having a big day.
And a first down at the 31-yard line. There you see Miami's defensive front. They've been doing that all day, jumping around. George running out of time, but pumps it in there to Albert Bentley. And he'll get about 4 yards on the play to the 35-yard line. Boy, he held his poise very well there because he was running out of time and then found Bentley.
Yeah, and let's give credit to the offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts. The Miami Dolphins defense is trying to confuse them up there, jumping around, overshifting, undershifting, and yet the offensive line is hanging in. Take a look at the defensive line overshifting here on this play, and really that's more for the draw than for pass rush purposes. But the offensive line doing a great job for Jeff George.
Second down 6 at the 35 of Indianapolis. Incomplete. Trying to get it out to Albert Bentley. E.J. Jr. on the coverage for Miami. And it will be third down for Jeff George.
That's the first time I can remember all day the Miami Dolphins blitzing. We talked to Tom Olivadotti yesterday, and he said that they only blitz about 10% of the time. He feels like that their best chance to win is to rush no more than 4 people and fall back with the rest of them in coverage. And E.J. Jr. still going strong in his 10th year now. Guy came out the same time I did, and he's still making all the big plays.
Third down 6. Indianapolis at their own 35-yard line. 4 wide receivers in the game. Rolling to the near side and swapped.
Louis Oliver coming on a safety blitz from the backside. And I tell you what, if you have some success blitzing a young quarterback, wouldn't be at all surprised to see Tom Olivadotti come back to this time after time after time. Jeff Cross put the pressure on the strong side, and then Louis Oliver got him from the backside.
Zeron Stark will punt, standing at his 10-yard line. It's a low kick. Hits at the 42, and then Tony Martin watches it go out of bounds inside the Miami 35-yard line. It's 16-14 Dolphins. We'll be back. It's 16-14. The Miami Dolphins leading over the Indianapolis Colts. 12:29 remaining, third quarter. And Miami gets their first crack at the ball starting from their own 35-yard line here in the second half. Sammy Smith has had a big first half so far. He has a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown, his first in the NFL. Smith, a couple of yards to the 37-yard line. Scott Radisick in the tackle for the Colts. And Jeff Herod, he's always there.
Going to take a look at Richmond Webb on this play, the all-pro tackle as a rookie. As we said earlier, the first rookie ever to be all-pro at that tackle position. And he's just a big, powerful guy. He takes John Hand and turns him outside. Interesting that he never looks over at Don Shula whenever he gives up a sack. He says it makes him too nervous to look over there.
He said he was always worried about getting Marino sacked because he's the tackle on that blind side. And as you can see, the blind side was well protected on that play. Although Sammy Smith could not hang on to the football as Jeff Herod covers on Smith. And it will be third down and 7 coming up. There's Herod. He's even smiling now, Chris. He smiled at us all night long last night when we talked with him. A real pleasant guy.
Really a terrific guy. But once again, we saw the problems that Danny Marino and Sammy Smith are having trying to make connections here. For whatever reason, these guys are not hooking up on pass plays other than the one big play that we saw today. And if they can get it together, they can be a real force. They don't want to take Sammy Smith out of the ballgame, but they have to work out those timing problems.
There you see Marino steering everything out. Jim Jensen in the backfield out of the shotgun. Marino off the hands of Clayton. Incomplete out at the 48-yard line. Mike Pryor tried to slip in after the deflection and come up with the interception, but he couldn't.
We've got a change of defense now for the Colts. They've been playing a zone defense the entire first half. Evidently, they went in at halftime, made some changes, come out and play a 2-deep man underneath coverage against the Miami Dolphins. I think it surprised the Dolphins a little bit and worked on their first drive.
Roby having a good day, and remember after that fine carry, Glenn play down by the goal line. Indianapolis got the ball at the 1, but they're going to get good field position here as Verdun is off and running. And then hit late, and a flag. As he got hit when he went into the sideline of the Dolphins. Jim Jensen might have been the player over there. That's why they call him Crash Jensen. He was a quarterback coming out of Boston University, and he was sitting on the Dolphins sideline and was bored to tears. I'll finish it up here.
We have number 11, unsportsmanlike, late hit out of bounds against the kicking team. First down.
Okay, so he's bored on the sideline, and he goes up to Don Shula and says, please, can I do something? Let me play special teams. So he's become a good special teams player for them, although he cost them 15 yards right there. We'll be right back.
Boy, I'm just an honest boy, and sometimes you can get in trouble for that, and he did with the 49ers. And true to his honest boy image, when I asked him if he thought the Dolphins could beat the Bills if they played again in Buffalo, he said, we can if our big boys don't get their butts kicked again. You know, being the true journalist that I am now, I then asked defensive coordinator Tom Olivadotti to comment on that statement, and he restrained himself, but I think it's fair to say he was a bit pleased. Would you agree, Jim?
Well, I think you're stirring up all kinds of problems in the Dolphins locker room, really. Here's Dickerson, ad-libbing. And a good play by Dickerson takes it into Miami territory out at the 48-yard line. Yes, Mr. Olivadotti was not very pleased with those comments by McKyer.
Happy at all, but he did restrain himself. He didn't want to get into war of the words with Tim McKyer, because not many people would win that type of war.
Just back to the McKyer story just for a second. When we talked about him not making the Pro Bowl, he smacked his head against the wall 4 times and said, me not making the Pro Bowl cost me $40,000. Dickerson is stuffed at the line of scrimmage, and it will be 3rd down and short. $40,000 bonus would have been coming Tim McKyer's way if he had made the Pro Bowl. And he said, hey, last week, I'm not out there politicking to get the votes. Last week, Andre Reed and James Lofton came up to me after the game and patted me in the back and said, hey, you're our choice.
Yeah, he also made the statement that he felt like the only way to get voted into the Pro Bowl was to go after every single game and pat the wide receivers of the other team on the fanny and tell them how great they were. He said he's not willing to do that.
3rd down and 1 after Dickerson couldn't get the first down on that 2nd down run. And they'll get the first down here as George just dumps it over the line of scrimmage. And the pass is caught by Bill Brooks. We're going to go to New York right now. NFL Live, and here's Bob Costas.
All right, Jim, on to the second half at RFK Stadium in Washington. Many of the regulars are out for the Bills. 3rd-string quarterback Gail Gilbert is in. Lofts this one nicely. 13 yards to Kenneth Davis for the touchdown. There's nothing wrong with Frank Reich. In fact, that's Reich, number 14, coming back in off the sideline to hold for the extra point, which was good. 9-7 Washington.
Thanks, Bob. That's what Don Shula wanted to do here with the Dolphins today, is get an opportunity to rest some players. But Miami needs the win to wrap up home field. And they're only up by 2 points. George to the middle of the field, and Billy Brooks cannot pull it down. Over the back came Louis Oliver, and George now is flexing his right hand. Might have caught it on a helmet.
Does that look familiar? Warren Moon did the exact same thing, and he is now out for the Houston Oilers. Take a look at Jeff Cross is going to be the guy that's going to be right in his face. And as Jeff George follows through on this play, take a look and see if he hits his helmet. That's exactly what happened. Jeff George is lucky that it's not any worse than it is.
So he's still holding on to his thumb as he comes up to the line of scrimmage now on 2nd down and 10 at the Miami 42. Dickerson cuts it loose. Dickerson, who has had many fine games against the Dolphins, both as a Ram and as a Colt, is starting to pile up some numbers right now with 8.5 to go here in the 3rd quarter.
Whatever you think about Eric Dickerson personally, you cannot deny the greatness of this man. Watch E.J. Jr. had him dead to right for about a 1-yard gain and simply made a miss. Stanley Morgan didn't want to get in his way down the field.
Now, when it got a bit tense last night with Eric Dickerson and you, as you see what he has compiled. Did you notice how I was right in there with you?
Right, exactly. You left the room. I remember it very well.
3rd down and 1. And Dickerson will get the first down to the 29-yard line. They brought in some help at fullback on that play. Ivy Joe Hunter was in at fullback, leading the way for Dickerson. Now let's check the Hertz 10-minute ticker. Wow, from Cincinnati, Cleveland has come back and tied that game up 14 apiece. Now the Bengals are out if they lose, right?
That's it. And check out the Atlanta score down here. Atlanta all over the Dallas Cowboys. Babe Laufenberg evidently not getting the job done for the Cowboys down there. The Cowboys still have a shot, though, at the playoff if New Orleans loses later on.
First down. Right now Miami kind of hanging on, nursing a 2-point lead, and the Colts driving and starting to find Eric Dickerson again. He has reappeared in the Colts offense today, and he gets down to the 24-yard line of Miami. Cliff Odom tackles Dickerson.
He is making so many people miss out here this afternoon. This time it's John Offerdahl, number 56. If you're going to get a chance to see it, there goes John flying right by. And that guy is one of the very best in the National Football League. John Offerdahl, 5 straight Pro Bowls. Every single time that he's been in the league, he has made it to the Pro Bowls.
A quick count. Dickerson again as he makes Jarvis Williams miss. And Williams would have had him for a 2-yard loss. And he gets up to the 21-yard line. You know, yesterday, as the discussion with Dickerson continued, I was picking up some mixed vibes.
And you left the room, right?
Yeah, when I came back, I was picking up some mixed vibes from him as to whether or not he still wants to stay in Indianapolis. He said, I get the impression, first of all, he doesn't want to stay. But yet he kept saying, but if I do leave, I'll miss not playing with Jeff George.
Yeah. He's very excited about the potential of playing on a team with a balanced passing attack and running attack. He said the only really good quarterback he ever played with was Vince Ferragamo.
And now this kid, Jeff George, 3rd and 1. Oh, he missed Albert Bentley at the 5-yard line, and it is 4th down. Now, will they kick the field goal or go for it on 4th down and 1? And I see Biasucci coming into the lineup. So it's field goal time.
You have to take the lead if you get the opportunity. We're heading on in the 3rd quarter now. 5:56 left in the 3rd quarter. The Colts with a chance to take the lead. This Colts football team is for real. This is not a fluke. The Indianapolis Colts, if they win this game, they will finish the second half of the season at 6-2 and are playing as well as anybody in football right now. Ron Meyer really doing a terrific job with his team after they started off 0-3.
A 39-yard field goal attempt to give the Colts the lead. He missed it. A blown opportunity for the Colts. We'll be back.
14 all.
Thanks, Bob. 16-14 here. Miami trying to win and get home field in the wild card game. Dan Marino on first down connects with Farrell Edmonds, and Dwayne Bickett rips him down. Out over the 25, 26-yard line. Going back to the field goal missed by Dean Biasucci of 39 yards out. Biasucci has had a bad case of the wide rights this year as he once again blows a field goal opportunity and is now only 16 for 23 on this season, and they're paying this guy close to $500,000 to kick.
And Ron Meyer, if you could read his eyes after that one was missed, was not happy with Dean Biasucci.
2nd down, 5. 5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Back they go to Sammy Smith, and Miami gets stuffed on that run as Dwayne Bickett comes in to make the tackle. Boy, there's a former great college player out of Southern Cal, and he's really done a quietly good job, don't you think?
Well, when I talked to the Colts coaching staff earlier this year, they said that without a doubt Dwayne Bickett was the best defensive football player that they had on their team. Only 3.5 sacks this year, but always tough against the run. Watch him stand up Farrell Edmonds there and make a play. You cannot play outside linebacker any better than that.
Miami trying to get a first down on 3rd and 5. They have not been moving the ball well here in the second half. Harrod coming on a blitz, and he connects with Tony Martin. First down.
This is just simply a case of them having too much respect for Tony Martin. The Indianapolis Colts playing way off of him on a 3rd and 5 situation. Questionable defensive strategy there. You know they're going to try to hit something quick and underneath to pick up the first down. and really gave themselves no chance at all to cover Tony Martin on that play.
Martin's first catch of the day as he worked on a rookie, Alan Grant. First down, Miami. Marino stepping up, looking for Duper. And a late flag goes down on Mike Pryor.
As a free safety, you always want to let your presence be known on the football field. That time, Mike Pryor was trying to give Mark Duper a little message.
Foul, 39 on the defense, first down.
Unfortunately, the message that Mike Pryor and Ron Meyer got was that they're going to tack on 15 yards here. Take a look. Duper was open, had a chance, but you could see, even as the ball was sailing over his head, he took a little look around to see exactly where Mike Pryor was. But Mike Pryor saw that football. There was no need to hit Duper on this play.
The Marino reaction, knows he's got the miss, but then soon looks back, and there's a yellow flag being thrown down on the Pryor hit. So it's a first down for the Dolphins at the Indianapolis 48-yard line with 3.5 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. They lead 16-14. Go to Sammy Smith, and the Miami running game has just been stopped. Smith does a nice job to turn it into a 2-yard gain to the 45-yard line, but he is being stopped that time by Tony Siragusa and John Hand.
I don't know what the Colts have done defensively to change things here in the second half. Maybe they're just playing a little better, but they certainly have shut down the running game of the Miami Dolphins. Sammy Smith has not been a factor here in the second half.
Bill Muir, the defensive coordinator, you saw him signaling out to his defense, which really rose to the top when they stuffed Miami on a 4th down and inches at the goal line. But they're having trouble stopping Marino throwing. So it hasn't been Mark Clayton today. Instead, it's been Mark Duper.
As a wide receiver, you can't ask for anything any easier than this. They're just giving them too much room back there. They've got 2 free safeties back there. They're all playing much too deep, and they're not jumping on those crossing patterns. The Miami Dolphins are not even using a clearing man to clear that free safety out of the position to try and run those wide receivers underneath on the crossing routes. They have to come up and jump those passes a little sooner because the Dolphins have been absolutely killing them over the middle of the field today.
18 yards on the pass reception by Duper and a first down. They fake it to Smith. Looking, knocked away by Chris Good as Clayton was waiting for the ball in the end zone.
Well, look at Mark Clayton. He can't believe it. He's saying Chris Good had absolutely no idea where that football was. He just started waving his arms and accidentally hit it. Let's take a look to see if Mark Clayton stayed in bounds or not. I believe he did. This would have been a touchdown. Would have counted. Chris Good. Nice reaction time. Looks like he did get his head around and just barely got a hand on the ball.
The right arm came up and deflected the ball away. And Good saves a touchdown.
He got it with that big thumb he has right there. He had it all taped up.
Second down 10. It was a sweep play. And they weren't getting anything up the middle, so they went to the outside. Get down to the 20-yard line, Sammy Smith. It's the Hertz 10-minute ticker. That game is just marveling everybody here that Cleveland is able to tie Cincinnati in the Battle of Ohio that the Bengals must have to stay alive for the playoffs. And Dallas, their playoff chances slipping away fast as Atlanta is shutting them out 16-0. And the Giants are now up a field goal over New England 13-10. Here in Miami, it is a minute 25 to go, third quarter. Third down, 3 for the Dolphins, leading 16-14 over Indianapolis. Almost intercepted. In fact, it is intercepted. The rookie, Alan Grant. No, now they're ruling that it's incomplete. Or they are ruling that he's down. They're ruling it's incomplete. The ball hit the ground.
By Alan Grant's reaction, It didn't look like Pete thought he had made the interception initially, but then when the whistle didn't blow, he jumped up and started running. Of course, Alan Grant coming up with the interception that beat the Washington Redskins last week. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, we have no idea from there. Like yeah,
you can see him kind of reaching down.
Took an awful long time. The reason he didn't get up too quickly is because he dropped the football. Take a look at it here.
Good call.
I think the official made the right call there.
Pete Stoyanovich will come on for his first field goal attempt of the day. 37-yard attempt. Scott Secules is holding. And timeout called for by Miami. They were running out of time. Here's Tom Dooley, the referee.
Miami. The first charge team timeout.
That's the second time today that they have let the play clock get ahead of them. Don Shula doesn't like burning timeouts, especially in a tight game. We'll be back.
I want to fly in business class.
A 37-yard field goal attempt. We're waiting on the attempt by Stoyanovich. They have been having some problems with the play clock, and Tom Dooley, the referee, is explaining to Ron Meyer that he wants 5 seconds put back on the play clock, which has been done. Now, Don Shula has had to burn 2 timeouts, one in the first half and one right here because of the clock running down on his team.
I'm not so sure that they may not have given them back that timeout. They were over there. There was some movement over on the Colts sideline, some gestures like they may have taken it away.
The play will stand as called. The review came with 3 seconds left on the clock. We will reset 5 seconds left on the play clock.
All right, so they reviewed on the interception, right? They were reviewing on whether Alan Grant had possession on the interception, which he did not. They have reset the clock to 5 seconds on the game clock. Now the field goal attempt, they had problems with the spot, and he missed it. Secules could not get the ball down. Now, whether or not the snap was way off or he just juggled it, but don't pin that one on Stoyanovich. There was something happened on the exchange. Let's watch it right here, Chris. Something happened here.
Scott Secules does a nice job. That snap was wide. He gets it down, gives Stoyanovich a chance to make it. But once your timing is thrown off like that, usually you're not going to make them.
Jeff Uleneg is the snapper for kicks. And so the Dolphins center, who he is the normal center also on offense, snaps one wide. Secules tries to make the grab, but the Uleneg snap was too far outside. And Secules did a good job just to even try and get it down. The Colts down by 2 points, get the ball back at their own 20, 1st and 10. They send Albert Bentley for a yard. Offerdahl and Odom on the tackle for the Dolphins.
I don't know if you saw exactly what happened on that play, but Albert Bentley flinched in the backfield. Now, if an offensive lineman flinches, then it's a penalty because once they become set, they're not allowed to move. But a back, he can flinch as long as no one else is in motion, and it's not a penalty. And that's exactly the reason Tom Dooley was pointing at Albert Bentley there. Take a look. He's going to move. Now, if an offensive lineman does that, that's a penalty. But in this case, because he's a back and no one else is in motion, no flag.
Now the Colts have headed down to the opposite end of the field as they're on their way marching towards the 4th quarter. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter here in Miami. The Dolphins leading by 2. We'll be right back after these messages from your locals as we start the 4th quarter here at Joe Robbie Stadium on the final Sunday of regular season play in the NFL. Miami playing for home field in the AFC wildcard game. A win gets them there here today. And then they would play the Chiefs. If the Raiders win this afternoon, the Raiders lose, they'd play the Raiders. But if Miami lost and the Raiders lost this afternoon, they'd have to open up against the Raiders in the LA Coliseum next week. 2nd down and 8, and George lost the football. That's a loose ball. Soche's got it. Touchdown.
Oh, my goodness. Take a look at Jeff Cross, number 91 at the top of your screen, is going to reach out and simply knock the football away. And then here comes the most excited guy in America right now, Brian Soche. Number 70 is going to pick it up and score what I'm sure is his first touchdown as a professional. Take him, going to high step it into the end zone. Go ahead, Brian. Spike that thing.
What a turnaround. Sauché starting for the injured T.J. Turner, picks up a Jeff George fumble, runs with it for the touchdown, and Miami.
Sauché on the sideline, he's just sitting there like, oh yeah, I score a touchdown every week. This is no big deal here.
You know, I talked to him yesterday, Chris, and he said the worst fear in his life came last week leaving Rich Stadium in Buffalo. The fans were so wild up there, so he wasn't too thrilled about having to go back to Buffalo and playing the Bills in the playoffs. And the equipment guy's coming over there and asking him if he wants the ball, because that's obviously his first NFL career touchdown. A 13-yard scoop and run by Brian Sauché for the score that has given the Dolphins finally some breathing room here today. They lead by 9.
I can't believe how calm he is. As we take a look at the turnovers here and the way that the Miami Dolphins have converted them, an interception and a fumble, both resulting in touchdowns, and really the difference in the football game right now. The Dolphins lead at 23-14.
And of course you can add to that the penalty in the end zone that gave them 2 more points too.
That's exactly right.
Sauché saying, yeah, I picked it up, and boy, I knew I was gone.
Now, not being the guy that should be very critical at times, but did the Miami Dolphins steal their fight song from the Houston Oilers or what? Or was it the other way around? But that sounds an awful lot like the Houston Oilers song.
I already refereed that Dickerson-Collinsworth situation. I don't want to get in the middle of this now. There's over 60,000 here today. The ball blew off the tee.
Brian Sauché. That's great. I love to watch that. I mean, I'm not cheering for the Dolphins or the Colts, either one, but I'm always happy for one of those guys that are in there plugging away day after day, play after play. They get a little time on television. That's terrific.
Line drive kick will bounce at the 15. Verdun takes it inside the 10. Jim Jensen has him at the 15, along with Eric Kumaro. And it's 1st and 10, Indianapolis at their own 15-yard line. Now coming up next Sunday, the AFC wildcard game, but started off with NFL Live. And then the AFC wildcard game, Miami will be in there. We're waiting to see who they will play. And all of that will be decided later on this afternoon when the Raiders take on San Diego. Miami hopes that you're watching that game on NBC, but it's being originated right here from Joe Robbie Stadium. And a win here this afternoon against the Colts will secure that 1st and 10 Indy. Dickerson to the 21-yard line. Dolphins aren't out of the woods yet because Dickerson's having a good day.
When you're in trouble, go back to what you do best, and that's run the draw play to that man right there, Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson now has 88 yards on the day. And you know, the Miami Dolphins defense has only given up a 100-yard rushing day twice this season. They gave up one to Ernest Biner and one to Thurman Thomas last week. And Eric is going to go out of the game for just a moment for a little rest.
And he'll be replaced by the rookie, Anthony Johnson, the rookie from Notre Dame. Now they're doing the wave here. The Bombers hit list. Must be Jeff Cross, right? The Bomber. Okay. The different hits he's made. 4 wide receivers set. Bill Brooks the catch. A 1st down. And at the Colt 30.
Bill Brooks does all the little things right. You saw him on that play after he made the catch. Rather than trying to jitterbug around and try and make an 80-yard touchdown run, watch what he does. He puts his head down, splits defenders, and picks up an extra 3 or 4 yards. Those are the little things that really add up for a football team.
Brooks out of Boston University. 13:20 remaining. Regulation time. Miami by 9, 23-14. The Colts have a 1st down at their own 30 with Dickerson back in the game. Kind of pushes that one out to Dickerson and says, here, take it. And he does to the 35. And he got 5 yards on the play. That has to be the ugliest pass that Jeff George will ever throw in his career.
But not a bad plan. Just get the football in the hands of Eric Dickerson. You know, as you look around this Indianapolis Colts offense, they really have a lot of offensive talents. We talked about the resurgence of Jesse Hester, possibly comeback player of the year. Eric Dickerson, you don't need to say any more about that guy. Albert Bentley, Bill Brooks, a top wide receiver. And now you add that to that Jeff George, who I think is going to be one outstanding quarterback.
2nd down and 5. Well, Dickerson's becoming a pass catcher in this game, and he's got a Colt first down at the Indianapolis 41-yard line. 2 catches in a row for him now. Kerry Glenn and Cliff Odom make the stop of number 29. Still tied in Cincinnati in the 4th quarter. Remember, the Bengals lose that game. As unbelievable as it would sound against the 3-12 Browns, they would be eliminated. Atlanta is handing Dallas a serious problem as far as the Cowboys making the playoffs. Dallas would need a New Orleans loss in the Monday night game if they go on and lose that game in Atlanta. Now it is 1st and 10. Indianapolis trailing by 9. Screen pass, and Bentley's got some blocking. Cliff Odom recovers to make the stop as he got away from the block of Ray Donaldson. And the ball is out at the 47-yard line.
Really a great play by Cliff Odom here. Ray Donaldson had him dead to rights here. You'll see number 53, Ray Donaldson, get out in front. And Cliff Odom here just swipes away Ray Donaldson and makes that play. And Albert Bentley is upset with himself. He knows that he should have broken that one for more yardage than that.
The former Colt, who in fact recovered a fumble for a touchdown in the 27-7 Miami win over the Colts earlier this year, makes the tackle there, and Dickerson's on the loose. Deep into Miami territory, out of bounds at the 37-yard line.
Somebody lost their contain on the left side of the Miami Dolphins defense there. Absolutely no one out there to turn Eric Dickerson back in. And Eric, once you get him in the open field, nobody's going to catch him regardless of whether or not they get the angle or not. So let's see if we can see what happens here. Albert Bentley is going to get the angle on E.J. Jr. and also do a little holding there, but cut him off and allowed Eric Dickerson to get out there.
Jesse Hester was doing a little jersey grabbing too on Jarvis Williams. 1st down. He's over 100, Dickerson is. The 61st game that he's done that in his career. George has got a man picked out. It's Stanley Morgan, the 14-year veteran out of Tennessee. 1st down, Colts at the 20-yard line.
Take a look at this guy. Stanley Morgan, in his 14th year out of Tennessee, is still going strong. 2 touchdown passes last week. And the one thing that he has always had is the courage to go over the middle of the football field. High probability that you're going to get your bell rung on a slant pattern like that, but he doesn't care. He's been doing it for a long, long time. Great career. Take a look at the people whose names he's right alongside.
And 1st down for his team at the 20. Here comes Dickerson. Running hard, puts his head down to the 18-yard line. We're going to go to New York right now. An NFL Live update, and we go back to Bob Costas.
Still tied at 14 in Cincinnati. James Brooks near the goal line starts to rumble, but when he's hit, there's a fumble. All Sam Weish can do is mumble at this latest Bengals stumble. Their playoff hopes are still a jumble, and you don't get this from Greg Gumbel. Jim?
All right.
That may take up the rest of the game here. Yeah. We missed a quarter while he was doing that.
Said the Raven, nevermore, right? 2nd down, 8 yards to go. Indianapolis trailing by 9. George into the end zone. It's intercepted. Jarvis Williams.
We told you before that Don Shula said that Jarvis Williams was the better of his 2 safeties, even though Louis Oliver, the #1 pick out of the University of Florida, gets most of the attention. Once again, comes up with a big play, and Jeff George knows he made a mistake.
We'll be right back to Miami. Here for him has given Miami the ball at their own 1-yard line, and Sammy Smith brings it out to the 4-yard line, where Keith Taylor wrapped him up. And so the Dolphins now begin some clock watching and hope to do some work on that clock. 8:50 to go in the game.
Big drive for the Miami Dolphins offense right here. We've got 8:48 left, and what they want to do is eat up a little clock here. You see the rushing comparison. Eric Dickerson, of course, with the bigger of the 2 days. But Smith having what I think is one of his better days as a pro.
Dickerson on the telephone right now. Finishing up the season for himself today with a big day. Out to the 5-yard line. Tony Siragusa comes up with the ball. James Pruitt says, get out of here, and knocks the ball out of his hand. As the rookie from Pitt, Siragusa, was trying to claim, he's trying to do an imitation of Brian Saucher, who scored the touchdown for the Miami Dolphins after a Jeff George fumble. You know, Chris, take a look now at a Biasucci miss of a field goal that he really should have had from 39 yards out. And now this interception on a Colt drive that appeared to be taking them into the end zone. There's 10 points gone by the board.
Big play for the Colts defense right here. They need to score twice to win this football game. They've got to shut down Dan Marino right now.
3rd down 6. They get the ball back. They get good field position as Marino fires it. Incomplete. He got hit as he threw. The pass intended for Tony Martin. And so Indianapolis will get the ball back and should get it back in good field position because Reggie Roby will be punting from right on the back line of his own end zone. There you see him walking it off, making sure that he doesn't step over.
You've got double trouble here. Not only do you have to concern yourself with the back of the end zone, but on the other end, you've got Clarence Verdun, who's going to the Pro Bowl as a punt return.
Good high punt. Roby just kicked the air out of it. Where's he going to go? Great coverage by the Dolphins as Roby skied one. We'll be right back.
Happy New Year, everybody, from
Colorado in the Orange Bowl to wind up your bowl day. The battle for the national championship. Jeff George throws one into the ground.
Nice play by Jeff George right there. They tried to do the run and shoot to the weak side, away from the 3 wide receiver set that time. Stanley Morgan over there one-on-one, and Jeff George, realizing that they had nothing going on that side, just threw the football away and didn't get the intentional grounding. You know, they're so much tougher on intentional grounding this year that you have to aim a little closer to the wide receivers than you used to.
The clock says 7:17 remaining in the 4th quarter, and Miami leading by 9, 23-14. It's caught by Bill Brooks, and he slips 2 tackles and gets out to the 49-yard line. A gain of 7 on the play when it looked like it only should have gained 2.
All right, let's talk about this situation coming up right here. Now, you've got a 3rd and about 2.5 for the Indianapolis Colts. There's 7 minutes and 8 seconds left to go in this ball game. This is probably 4-down territory for the Colts. So you may well see them take 2 shots at a running play here rather than trying to pick it all up on 1 down.
3rd down and 3. Dickerson trying to get to the 1st down marker. He'll be close. E.J. Jr. got him on the shirt and tried to pull him back. Jeff Cross was there too. 1st down Colts. Dickerson already over 100, but he picked up 3 very important yards there.
You know, even though Eric Dickerson may not be very happy in Indianapolis, and I asked him if he was going to stay there and planned on being there next year, and he said no comment. And you asked Ron Meyer, and he says, I don't know, but I certainly hope so, and he's under contract and all those things. But here he is, Eric Dickerson, in a game that means absolutely nothing, playing very hard, and is giving a full effort, and that's good to see.
1st and 10, 6.5 remaining in the game. George is in trouble, and he throws the ball out. What a catch and play as Albert Bentley comes up with the catch. Can you believe it? The Dolphins are yelling for an in-the-grasp call, but George flings the ball out. Wow.
Did you see,
what a play.
Did you see David Griggs turn around and look at Tom Dooley? Watch Jeff George here. He really kind of is in the grasp. Riggs gets him, has him, spins him around. He says, I've got a sack. No, where's the football?
That's his first completion of the year left-handed. He threw that pass left-handed.
Great play by the rookie.
And a first down, too. What a play by George. Albert Bentley makes the catch. Dickerson is the lone back. George on a bump out by the 15-yard line. There was contact, and there's no flag. Stanley Morgan got bumped on the play.
That even got an ooh out of the Dolphin crowd here. That looked to me like pass interference. Let's take a look. They're both entitled to go for the football. Well, I take that back. I think they were both in a position to go for the football right there. Good call by the official.
J.B. Brown was the defender who gets away with the incidental contact there, going for the football. 5:36 remaining. Dolphins trying to hold off the Colts and wrap up home field for the wild card game next week. Second down and 10 for Indianapolis. A blitz up the middle. Morgan can't hang on. George had to get it out of there very quickly. Offerdahl was coming on the blitz up the middle.
You remember right at the end of the first half, the Dolphins had success blitzing Jeff George, as did the Washington Redskins last week. A little surprised that we haven't seen more of it. The Colts offensive line pick it up. Stanley Morgan has a chance to make a great play. Would have been a great catch. Not able to hold on with one hand.
It's 3rd and 10. Morgan with one catch today. Indianapolis is going to call a timeout.
Their first charge team timeout.
So they have 2 left.
A 40-second timeout.
And it's only a 40-second timeout.
That's an expensive timeout right there for the Colts. They need 2 scores in order to win this football game, and now they're going to have to do it without at least 1 timeout.
Cincinnati's back on top, 21-14. Boomer Esiason throws to Eric Ball, 48 yards for a score in the 4th quarter, and they lead 21-14. Neon Deion Sanders has intercepted a pass for Atlanta and took it 61 yards for a touchdown, and it's a wipeout of the Cowboys today, 26-0. Dallas can still make the playoffs with a New Orleans loss in the Saints' final game of the regular season. Now, here our situation, 5:31 remaining in regulation time. Miami leading 23-14 over the Colts. Indianapolis cannot make the playoffs. Miami's in as a wild card, but they want to host the wild card game next week against either Kansas City or LA, and it's 3rd and 10. Here comes E.J. Jr. They tried to get it to Bentley, but he wasn't ready for the pass because George was hurried on the play by E.J. Jr. I believe Indianapolis is going to try a field goal here.
That was great coverage all over the field by the Miami Dolphins. There was absolutely nowhere for Jeff George to go with the football right there. All the way across the board, the Dolphins had the Colts receivers blanketed.
Now, the reason they're going for this 55-yard field goal is because they have the wind behind Viasucci's back. Yards, and he got it.
How about that?
Now that's knowing your weather. He knew that Viasucci had the wind behind his back, and so Ron Meyer didn't go for it on 4th and 10. Instead, he kicked a field goal. Not a bad decision, huh? 55 yards. And we still got ourselves a game.
Upon its introduction, the first Acura Legend set a new standard for performance sedans. But as impressive as that may have been, it was merely a reflection of things to come. Introducing the new Legend from Acura.
Partner Chris Collinsworth just kicked the stew out of that ball.
Yes.
For a 55-yard field goal to get the Colts back to within 6. Logan will keep it in the end zone, as he has every time he's fielded a kick today going in that direction. And it will be 1st and 10 Miami at the 20-yard line. So Ron Meyer opted to kick a field goal because Biasucci had a pretty strong wind at his back to get them to within 6. Now, Miami's job is to hold on and win here today, and if they do, they'll wrap up home field. Then with a Raider win this afternoon over San Diego, they would host Kansas City next week, but a Raider loss, and they would host the Raiders. If Miami loses this game and the Raiders win, Kansas City would play here next week. But if the Raiders lost and Miami lost, they would have to open in the Coliseum next week. They want to open here. So now they'll try and grind out that clock again. And Sammy Smith gets the first call. And 4 yards on the play. And we'll check in with New York right now. Bob Costas at NFL Live.
All right, Jim, on their next possession after James Brooks lost that fumble near the goal line, Cincinnati comes back to score. Off the nice play-action fake, it's Boomer Esiason lofting this one to Eric Ball. It's a 48-yard touchdown. Good inside move at the 10. Bounces off the last guy at the 3. Cincinnati in front, 21-14. 6 minutes to go in the game.
Disappointed we didn't get a poem on that one. We just get the straight read this time.
You cannot rush art. 2nd down 6 as Marino got a lot of that in the first half. Sammy Smith short of the first down. He's at the 27. He needs the 30-yard line. Jeff Herron and Tony Siragusa. That kid's played well at nose tackle, replacing Harvey Armstrong.
Okay, here we go. Play of the game right now. 3rd and 2 for the Miami Dolphins. They bring Jim Jensen in the lineup right now. Generally the guy they go to in this situation. If the Colts can hold right here, they give the rookie, Jeff George, one more shot to win a game. This game is starting to look an awfully lot like the Philadelphia Eagles game that the Colts had earlier this year, where they won it on the last play of the game.
There's Mr. 3rd down, Crash Jensen. 3rd and 2. Miami needs the first down to keep that clock going. And they've got it. Mark Clayton makes the catch. First down, Dolphins with 3:33 left.
Dan Marino is just simply so good. Watch this. Mark Clayton's going to turn around and boom, that thing's going to hit him right there. Those two guys together are as good as any combination that the National Football League has ever seen.
See, I really think 3rd down and 2 or 3rd down and 3 for Marino, it's almost like automatic.
Used to be a running down in the National Football League, but now with guys like Dan Marino, it's a passing down.
Yeah, I really think he was maybe the guy that made it a passing down. 1st and 10, and a big first down it was. Now under 3 minutes to go in the game. And a good run by Sammy Smith to the 40-yard line. So the 2nd year back out of Florida State, who's been up and down this year, has been up today, and Indianapolis now must defend by using a timeout and stopping the clock with 2:46 left. They'll call it a 40-second timeout. Kick off your night tonight on NBC with the fast-paced, high energy of Hull High. And special guest star, NBC's own Dick Enberg.
Uh-oh.
Then Tom Brokaw, Jane Pauley, and Brian Gumbel take a look back at the extraordinary events of this past year in a primetime retrospective, 1990, Living on the Edge, followed by our featured movie Prime Target, starring Angie Dickinson. All tonight, only on NBC.
Dick Enberg doing a little acting, is he?
Yes, he is. Dan Marino and Don Shula on the sideline. Indianapolis with 1 timeout. Now, to update you, remember when Miami called the timeout and then there was the play was being reviewed? Well, they didn't have to use that timeout, as you see there. They have 3 left. Not that they want to use any more.
But they've got the 2-minute warning as well, so in essence 3 more now.
2:46 left. Miami on 2nd down 3. 2nd and 2. And another first down over the 45. Sammy Smith's going to start to rack up some yardage himself and could be getting close to 100 on the day.
This is the difference in this Miami Dolphin football team this year. They have the ability to run the clock out at the end of a football game. Generally, in years gone by, this would be a situation in which Dan Marino would be forced to throw the football to try to keep a drive alive. But now he has this man, Sammy Smith, who has had a terrific afternoon out here today, plowing out there for the first down.
Just to update you on a final score, the Giants just beat the Patriots with 10 seconds left to go in the game on a Matt Barr field goal to win 13-10. So there are a lot of strange games on this final Sunday, in that Cleveland staying so close to Cincinnati, only down by a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and New England finishes at 1-15 against a team that figures to be a real strong team in the NFC and a possible Super Bowl team, the Giants, and the Giants need a late field goal to win that game. And here today, Indianapolis playing for just the right to be at 500 with no playoff opportunity, came in here and played hard all the way through.
The Colts defense now down to their last opportunity. One more first down by Dan Marino and the Dolphins, and this game's over.
2:37 left. Sammy Smith is at 102 yards rushing, and he'll get a chance to get some more. But you know what? You might be subtracting a couple from his total there because he got stuffed in the backfield. Tony Siragusa and Dwayne Bickett. Siragusa's a free agent, too, out of Pitt.
Yeah, getting his chance to start here today and really taking advantage of it, playing very well. See Dan Marino and Don Shula huddling up on the sideline over there. We asked Don Shula about Dan Marino. We'll get back to that right after this break.
We're at the 2-minute warning remaining. 23-17 Miami. We'll be back for the final 2 minutes after.
Quarterback, would you even consider throwing the football right here? But probably 2 more times of Sammy Smith.
2nd and 11. Smith is stopped after a short gain to the 47-yard line. John Hand and Scott Radisek are there. Indianapolis cannot stop the clock as they are out of timeouts.
The Colts, if they can hold the Miami Dolphins here, they'll get the football back with about 25 seconds to go in this ball game. And unless they can block a punt or something along those lines, a fumble, interception, something like that, then indeed they're going to have a tough time with this game here today. You see the graphic here, Sammy Smith. Once again, as we've told you all day long, that when he plays well, the Dolphins generally win.
It is 3rd down and 10 as he got 1 on that last carry. And they go right back to him. And Smith will get pretty good yardage to the Indianapolis half of the field, but not enough to get the first down. And so with 1:02 left and the clock running, Miami's in a 4th down situation.
And you'll probably see Don Shula taking the entire time off the clock here. 30 seconds on the play clock right now, so they'll run it down somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 seconds before they have to punt the football. And then Jeff George will get a shot at a couple of Hail Marys here at the end of the ball game.
Marino did a nice job there, just managing the time very nicely. Roby, boy, he'd love to pin him inside the 20 here. Indianapolis came after it, but they didn't get it. Verdin let it hit, and it snuck over the pylon for a touchback, almost out at the 6-inch line. Roby was very close.
Look at Reggie laughing about it down there. He knows he almost made a great kick. But there you saw the advantage of having a kicker like Reggie Roby. A 2-step kicker, very difficult to try to rush the kicker in that situation because he gets it out of there so quickly.
Now Jeff George comes onto the field. He's thrown 2 touchdowns today, but he's thrown 2 interceptions too. He has 13 seconds. He has 80 yards to go.
Here's what you have to do in this situation. You have to complete about a 30-yard pass down to the 50-yard line to give yourself an opportunity at a Hail Mary. Look for some kind of a deep comeback route along the sideline.
Miami with a wide split 3-man rush. Hester. Are they going to rule that he caught the ball? It was stripped out of his arms when he went to the sideline as Rodney Thomas knocked it away. But he's out to the 36-yard line and used 6 seconds.
There's half of it right there. Now for the difficult part, to get it the rest of the way down here. We're going to find out just how strong Jeff George's arm is right now. They're on about the 36-yard line. So he's going to have to put this ball in the air about 65 yards. in order to get it into the end zone. And the big question here is, can that offensive line protect him long enough to allow those wide receivers to get down the field and into the end zone?
All right, let's watch him. 1st and 10. That's inconsequential. It's at the 36-yard line. And hang on, are we going to get an officials conference here with 7 seconds remaining?
Now, they just signaled timeout for the Indianapolis Colts, but according to what we have here, they were out of timeouts, and surely they would have used the timeout before this if they had one left.
Well, are they reviewing whether or not Hester made the catch on the play? Because the ball was taken out of his arms by Rodney Thomas. Here it is again.
Let's take a look. Number 84, Jesse Hester, down here at the bottom of your screen. That's clearly a catch.
And then he fumbles it out of bounds after Thomas stripped it.
No real advantage here for the Colts, so the timeout while they review it, because of the fact that he was out of bounds anyway.
What is it? You see Shula saying there, I think he was juggling the ball when he was going out of bounds.
After further review, the play will stand as called. It's first down.
All right, one play away, defending it well, from opening up in the playoffs here in the wild card game next week against either Kansas City or the Raiders. 7 seconds left. Georgia's got one crack at it. Hester's got it. He'll get another crack with 1 second left. He goes out at the Miami 48-yard line. Now, this kid certainly has the arm to get it into the end zone.
Wow, what a gutsy call by Ron Meyer right there, trying to get it one step closer. But absolutely the right thing to do. I never figured that they were going to take a chance on letting the clock run out. Now you have a very legitimate shot at throwing one in the end zone right here. Expect Jeff George to do some kind of a rollout to bide a little time while his wide receivers get down the field. They have a chance.
Last play of the ball game. 1 second. They need a touchdown. Knocked away. Ball game over. Dolphins win.
For Ron Meyer, a disappointing loss, but a tremendous turnaround for this Indianapolis Colts team this year. They finish up the season 7-9, but finish 5-3 on the year in the second half. Take a look at the play one more time. The guy we've been talking about, not afraid to express his opinion at all. Tim McKyer goes up and makes the play. There's the veteran.
Back in the playoffs, first time since 1985, and at home in the opening round. That's the situation in Miami.